The Pain of Duality, written by Resident Sunshine, read to you by Evie is Evil. Chapter 8. Author's Notes. Friendly reminder, the author does not have DID, so if I accidentally say something out of pocket or terribly represent something, please let me know so I can fix it and do better. Now, onto the chapter. Robin was quick to jump into the action. They couldn't quite follow what was attacking, just that they were being attacked. They flipped back from the invisible force, spilling the bags, but they could worry about that later. Their eyes darted around the swaying room, trying to ignore how their chests spasmed with the attempts to breathe easily, breathe deeply. They could worry about that later once the threat was neutralized. Speaking of the threat, was it the invisible force crashing in? Or was it the mummy that came crashing into the poor building next? Blood coating the blades they used, that crested out like the cape they wore. It was hard to tell. Both seemed to not care about the destruction that was left in their wake, outfits seamlessly switching between mummy wraps and black Kevlar. Robin had to do something. There were people here. Whoever this was ruining lives, destroying property. They had to save them. Couldn't hesitate because hesitating led to death. They grabbed a rod from a broken shelf and jumped in, taking a best guess that whatever was invisible was the influencing factor, the force to be taken down. He tracked the noises, the blood, the shifting world, and hunted them down. Each movement felt sluggish, sending aches through unstretched joints. But they could worry about that later. Pack it away for later. They joined the fight with practiced ease, even if everything was slightly warped. Even if breathing was getting harder and the world throbbing with their racing heart. It's what they knew, what they were good at. A good little soldier. It was going well until the black blood covered their hands and splattered the ground. Until black and white gloves were pulling him back, shoving him against the cold metal wall with enough force to knock the wind out of him. "Who are you?" In a beat, the fist pulling back reflected of purple, and Robin was sent free-falling, forced out by whatever memory just popped up. One they were not allowed to know, to understand. Free-falling back into the deep ocean, left floundering, drowning, desperate to get back, yet understanding they could not know, could not understand. They hated the ocean, hated how vast it was, how unknown it was. Hated how cold it was, how all-consuming, corrupting, painful it was. JJ let himself go limp, collapsing down to the hard ground. It hurt less when he didn't fight back. Hurt less when he let Daddy manipulate him than moving against the current. Hurt less when he was a perfect little doll. But he never really was good at that. Panic and preparation for pain made his eyes burn, and a laugh come bubbling up with a harsh cough, forcing his lungs to spasm out the phlegm that caked to the inside of them. Daddy liked when he laughed, though, and pain meant Daddy was around. He knew it would hurt more, but he really wanted a hug right now. So he moved his own arms around himself, desperately trying to get that pressure that made everything feel a bit better. Anything to help ground him so that he could protect them, even if it was selfish and pitiful. A flicker of swooshing fabric, and it was no longer long wraps and black Kevlar. Rather a pristine white suit standing above him. Not purple and green, white. "Oh, blimey, Jake really is a gormless bloke," Stephen explained as he stepped back from the teen, wincing as he pulled his fist back and wiped his hands along the fabric of his suit. He wasn't exactly sure what set Jake off, what screamed threat there. He usually sat far back during their nighttime escapades. He also wasn't exactly sure what made Jake switch out, but he was happy he did before they could actually hurt the teen. "Lila, love," he called over to his partner, unsure of what else to really do in the moment. JJ couldn't stop the broken laughs that slipped past his cracked lips as he curled in on himself, preparing for the pain that usually came when he was awake. He brought his hands up over his head, trying to protect the important bits, just like he saw Robin do when they were in battle. He didn't want to fight, not really, But if he didn't obey, then Daddy would pull out the big electric party machine again. He hated those parties. They hurt, and no one ever laughed except Daddy. Not even Mommy did. So they had to be bad, and only bad little boys got shoved in them because they were misbehaving. What if they also had one, but it was bigger and scarier? He let out a choked sob between his hiccuped laughs, body shaking as he tried to curl up more, choking on the phlegm and snot, suffocating on the very air he tried to breathe. He didn't want to see any blows coming, but it was his job to be here, to take it and catalog the pain away, to hold on to the fear, the lost memories, the pain. It was his job. No one could take that away. Hey, it's okay. Look at me. JJ shifted a hand to cover his mouth instead, trying to muffle another broken laughter that was forcing its way up and out, tearing through him. He knew people hated it, hated the familiarity, hated him, but he couldn't stop it, or he felt like he was being tortured. He tried to hold back the laughs. He did, but it hurt. It hurt so much worse than when Daddy was angry. So he didn't do that anymore. What's your name? JJ? He forced out between his chapped and scarred lips, and his hand that desperately clung over it. Okay, thank you for telling me. Can you look at me, JJ? He finally peeled his eyes open and looked up at where the scary man was. But in his place was a beautiful goddess, her curly hair cascading down in mesmerizing swirls, gold detailing reflecting the low lights around them. Quickly, JJ shifted to be closer to her radiant light, eyes scanning for the scary man before latching onto her leg. It's okay. Lila placed a hand in JJ's hair, gently holding him as he tried to piece together what happened. My name is Lila. How old are you, sweetie? Lila. Her name sparkled through his brain, bursts of gold and red like fireworks. The imagery pulled another laugh from his chest, this time muffled into her leg before he realized she was still speaking. Lila. He sing-songed out as he closed his eyes, focusing on the tingling display for just a moment longer. He wondered if actual fireworks were quite so pretty. Pretty, like bursts of blood from Daddy's chest. Oh, maybe that's what her name reminded him of. Yeah, JJ, that's my name. Now, can you answer a few questions for me? Questions? Because, oh no, questions were bad. He never knew how to answer, and when he answered wrong, everyone else got mad. If he answered wrong, then Daddy would hurt him, and Mommy would get sad. If he answered wrong, then Bruce would get sad, and he would get sent away from the warm place. And when he was all alone, who would hold him when he cried or when he was crumbling? Who would fill the silence when he couldn't? How old are you? The pretty lady asked. Lila, he reminded himself. Lila, like summertime. Lila, like fireworks. Lila. Oh, wait. Questions. Right. He could answer this one. I'm 10. Nice to meet you. He squinted at her a moment. She looked older. Carrie was older, too. And they were both so patient with him. So maybe they were like the same. They both made his chest all warm and fuzzy. Both offered comfort when he was scared. So they had to be like the same. Where Harley was Mommy, a name forced into him that still reminded him too much of Daddy, even if she offered comforts, Carrie was like Mom. So maybe Lila was like Mom. But he had a mom already. Maybe Mum? The scary man sounded British. Were they in England? He always wanted to travel. He could figure that out later. What was he saying? Oh, yeah, his age. Nice to meet you, 28. Right, because Carrie was usually 28 when taking care of him. Did her age change too? 26? He corrected, hoping if he guessed a little younger, she would love him more. Maybe then she would let him stay. Ooh, maybe she would give him a big hug too. Lila laughed lightly after a moment of confusion, her laugh sending soft ripples through JJ that made him feel all warm and cozy. He wanted to hear more laughter that wasn't his own sharp mockeries of Daddy's. I'm 30, sweetheart, but thanks for the confidence boost. He wanted to make her laugh more. He needed to be surrounded by that sound. Do you have a parent around? Or perhaps a friend? Oh, no. No. She wanted to return him to Daddy. He couldn't go back. Daddy was dead. But what if he came back again? He already did after he killed him. He could already feel the way his muscles tensed with electricity, his veins burning with foreign chemicals, his skin blistering with bleach, his body bruised and aching as his throat turned raw. But if he was bad, he deserved it. If he was bad, maybe he needed to go back to get reset. He knew questions were bad. He must have answered wrong. Why else would Lila be sending him back? Did she think he was defective too? Was it all the laughing? It made everyone else sad, so maybe. But it hurt to keep bottled up. Was it because he guessed wrong? Should he have known her age already? It's not fair, his brain got all scrambled, and he must have forgot. It's okay if you don't. I just need to know how to help you, Layla offered as she ran a hand through his hair, cupping the back of it as she leaned down, careful not to dislodge the kid from her leg. She had seen the teen join the fight, and he moved in a way that screamed hero, but he wasn't that teen anymore. It gave her a terrible sense of déjà vu from when she met Stephen. She didn't want to jump to any conclusions, though. After all, dissociative identity disorder wasn't the most common of things. He could have gotten hit in the head, or maybe this was the trauma response of age regression instead? Or JJ was a little alter who her boyfriend spooked? Well, more likely Jake spooked before Stephen took over. She had done plenty of research after figuring out about Mark, Stephen, and Jake, but she did not want to jump to conclusions quite yet. Not when she did not know a whole ton. Speaking of, she glanced up, spotting Stephen on the building nearby, radiating his own anxieties as he fiddled with the sleeve of his three-piece Mr. Knight suit. It looked like he was talking, probably to Jake and Mark, maybe Khonshu, but she would guess it was either Jake or her husband, given the tension between the god and Stephen. JJ, she glanced back down, having noticed how the laughs had quieted down, just as the tears did. The distant stare really sealed it for her. She slowly shifted to crouch in front of them, their arms easily falling from her leg. She wasn't sure who it would be, or if they would appreciate clinging to her like JJ did. Probably not, but she also did not want to move too far. Thankfully, they had wrapped up most of the actual fighting, so her attention could go to the vigilante and make sure they were safe, before going to check on the others. Once they blinked rapidly a few times and looked around, she offered a gentle smile. My name is Lila, the vigilante, Scarlet Scarab. Are you injured anywhere? The vigilante looked around a bit before raising a hand to their face, presumably feeling the moisture all their crying had provided. What? They breathed out, and Lila had all the sympathy for them, but the Moon Knight system was much better equipped to help, assuming it was a similar case, which maybe was a wild assumption, given the long list of other possibilities. Is it okay if my friend comes to check you out? We didn't want to overwhelm you. It was a bit of a lie, which made her feel a roll of guilt, but it also seemed like the most logical step right now. They still had to make sure he was uninjured, that he was safe. I guess... Sorry. The teen moved his hands up, pressing the heels of them to his eyes. She made a mental note to check for a concussion. Can you tell me where you are right now? She motioned for Moon Knight to come join her. New York, getting medicine. Oh, gee, I'm being rude. A small sigh escaped them before it turned to coughing, harsh enough to shake their body. Is there a name I can call you by? Lila offered as Stephen finally popped up next to her. They went back to rubbing the heels of their palms into their eyes. Massaging, Lila added. Probably a headache, especially if they were sick already. Sorry, love. My name's Carrie. I don't mean to be rude, but we really need to get back home. The kids need rest, Carrie added as she looked around, wincing at the pain that came with the movement and how the world seemed to shift and move. Oh, drats. A realization settled as she looked around the mess of the street for their bag. Stephen joined her side and made the mask disappear. My name is Stephen, with a V. Her name is Moon Knight. Is it okay if I check you over for injuries? Lila stood back up. I will leave you two to it. I should get started on cleaning up this mess. She would stay nearby, but wanted to give the idea of privacy at the very least. Besides, this was New York. The Avengers had an entire department dedicated to cleaning up after battles, and wasn't that an odd thought? As she stepped away, she focused on her connection to Tawere and whispered to her goddess. Please have Khonshu inform Stephen. Layla, goody! I have not heard from you in so long! It has not even been a day, Lila pointed out, a fond smile pulling on her lips. Now please have Khonshu inform Stephen that the kid more than likely has DID and is exhibiting signs of a headache, but it is unclear if that is due to injury or otherwise psychological. Stephen will know more about it than me, so I will let him take over from there. It just feels like it may be important. Oh, I suppose so. Now don't be a stranger. Carrie knew they shouldn't have left their hotel, and now here she was, surrounded by broken glass and blood. And honestly, with how much pain she was in, she couldn't tell if it was hers or not. The thought that it could have been theirs made her feel nauseous. That one of them got hurt, that JJ might have been hurt again and again. It might explain why she was the one fronting now. Or maybe it's because, apparently, she was the only one actually capable of taking care of themselves, and that her family was atrocious with it. But she supposes that's why she existed. A person to care for them when they couldn't, when they were too young to take on that responsibility. The fever made it hard to focus, but she needed to get their wounds clean, to try and mitigate further infection. She heard the other hero trying to check her over, panicked hands dancing around an emotion that made her head throb and the world spin. She was being rude. She should pay better attention, but it was hard to focus on anything beyond getting some first aid supplies, some fluids, and taking care of them. Do you have antibiotics? She managed out, looking up at the blurry person. Oh, that's probably not good, she mumbled to herself, swaying slightly from her spot on the ground. I think... Oh gosh, do you think you could help? Or maybe point us in the right direction? Stephen paused and crouched in front of her. Of course, Carrie. What do you need? His eyes flicked to the other girl. Layla, her brain sluggishly provided. I think my wounds are terribly infected, and I've been doing a pretty drab job of taking care of them. She forced her eyes to focus on the duo again, wincing as her neck twinged painfully. I'm worried about meningitis, or that I'm on my way to worse. She tried to clear her throat, wincing at the sharp pain. I'm not from around here. No insurance for a hospital, but perhaps, as vigilantes, you might know someone? She wasn't sure if it was the infection, or the rapid switching, or the lack of self-care, but exhaustion was settling quite well, and she was worried it would only be so long before she lost her grip and slid back, which means she needed to be direct, to the point, because none of the others were going to do anything about it. She needed to make sure they would be okay. We aren't from around here, but I know a guy who might be able to help, Stephen offered as he looked back to Layla, hoping maybe she could offer some help here. Infection? Let me see if the pharmacy has anything, Layla offered as she got up and headed into the destroyed building, cautious of the unstable walls and broken parts. Thank you. Carrie looked down at herself, frowning as the blood stained the jumper they wore. Aw, shoot, do either of you have a change of clothes? JJ would be upset about the loss. He was weirdly attached to the stolen article of clothing. She could try to get it out, but honestly, the chances were pretty low. Maybe she could pull the trick of replacing it? Finding one at the thrift store? She couldn't sense JJ anywhere near the front, so he may not even realize. Assuming they could find a replacement, though. They didn't even have their phone anymore to look online. Carrie forced her drifting eyes back up at the pair, before trying to stand, taking it slow, but the world still spun dangerously, making her almost fall, if not for the two arms that caught her. "Gosh darn it," she grumbled, only to start coughing again. But having someone there to hold her, to pat her back to help dislodge the mucus, it was nice in a foreign way to her. And, oh gosh, they all really needed the help right now, and her limbs were just so heavy. Layla came back quickly, a bottle of antibiotics in hand that definitely were not stolen, not just destroyed in the attack, definitely just destroyed. A nice write-off. She paused as she looked up at Mark, who was practically holding Carrie with half-drooped eyelids as she tried to catch her breath. "Love?" "Layla," he repeated, looking up at his wife, then down at the teen in his arms. "We can't just leave them on the doorstep of the Avengers," he pointed out, eyes flickering back up to Layla's. "I agree, but we also... What else are we going to do? We don't know if they have family nearby missing them," she pointed out, slowly walking over before crouching in front of Carrie. "Carrie, are you still with us?" "Yeah." Carrie tried to focus again, eyebrows scrunching as she tried to focus, tried to place the duplicating images back into one. "Why, fluids, medicine, food," she repeated, hoping they would understand it was a list of needs right now. All things she did not trust them to get done with how sick they were. With a raging infection and barely running water. No kitchen, no added care. And maybe it was nice to just let go to another adult, to trust they would not be the same. But that was hard to do on a good day. She just needed to hope that maybe today would be a good day. Maybe just this once she could share the burden. Fluids, food, medicine. Got it. Layla reached up, gently cupping the teen's cheek. A point of contact easily seen, easily avoidable. "How would you feel coming back with us? Just for the night, so that we may check on you? Just till we know that you're on the right track?" she offered, holding eye contact even as Carrie's eyes started to drift. Okay, but when we wake up, it has to be you there." A vaguely flash of what Tim thought happened last time flirted through her foggy memory, like watching a movie from outside through the glass. She couldn't put them through that panic again. Say we are temporarily renting spice from you? That should work, right? It was hard to think right now, so it would have to do. Layla glanced to Mark, waiting for his nod of approval before speaking. "Of course. Thank you for trusting us," she offered and got up, tucking the bottle of pills into her pocket. "Mark, love, can you stay with Frank tonight?" she asked, already knowing that her husband was probably thinking the same, at least until they got a lay of the land tomorrow, and could figure out how to ease the potential system around both of them in an unfamiliar place. It wasn't the best solution, but it was a solution, and it meant once they were showered, filled up with easy-to-swallow food and water, and tucked in, that Carrie could finally rest, allowing the exhaustion that permeated them constantly to finally drag her down. With the morning's dose of antibiotics and pain medicine, a handwritten note, and a bottle of Gatorade on the bedside table, she allowed herself to cave to the exhaustion and fall asleep. And that is the end of Chapter 8. Author's notes. The scene with Lila was one of the first scenes I wrote for this fic, and I'm happy y'all finally got to see a little more JJ, and finally Carrie. Lila and the Moon Knight system will have a much bigger part in Tim's life from here on out, whether he wants it or not. Also, the only reason this got updated before Stray Little Bat is because I had about 90% typed up already. Life is crazy and probably will remain so for the next month. P.S. Don't worry, I have a ton of X-Men scenes typed up already. JJ will be able to get as many replacements as he wants. JJ will be able to steal as many replacements as he wants. As a non-spoiler spoiler, JJ does get to see fireworks eventually. It is a very cute moment with a Marvel character that I just cannot wait for y'all to get to. Holy crap, I know what scene that's talking about. Oh, yeah, reader's notes. I know what scene that's talking about, and that is like chapter 28 or something like that, if I remember correctly. Anyways, the voices were killing me this session. Like, I think the author wrote about it, in notes somewhere, that like a lot of people thought Carrie had a Southern Belle accent, but then like later they revealed it's Australian. And I so badly wanted to slip into that Southern Belle, because I recently did a show in theater where all the actors talked in like Southern accents, and that was just like it just flipped a switch in my brain being like, hey, do you want to talk country for 50% of your time now? And I'm like, thanks. So I so badly wanted to switch with that. And then when I was finally starting to like get it, then it would be Steven talking and the British would fuck me up. Excuse my language. The British would mess me up. Because like, I can sort of do an Australian accent, but as soon as I talk British, that messes me up. And then doing the Australian was messing me up for Steven, and then I wanted to talk Steven in an Australian. Then when I finally got to British, I couldn't do the Australian for the next one. Oh my gosh. That was a pain. But I love this fic so much. Wow. Resident Sunshine, I definitely was kind of cursing you out, except not really, for doing the Australian then British. I was a little bit upset while recording, but it's fine. I still love you. I still love your fics. Editing V here, you probably can't hear this, but because I'm on a plane, but I just thought it important to say I kept saying Lila instead of Layla. I'm gonna fix that in the next few chapters. Yeah, it's nearly 3 a.m. and my neighbors probably hate me, so I'm gonna go to bed now. Thanks for listening, and bye!